So they came up with a plan, and their plan was to escape, essentially, just one. So at night, they ran. That night, they ran away, and then they just ran and ran and ran and ran as fast as their giant legs could carry them. And eventually, they ran into some caves for safety, right? They ran into a cave in Afghanistan, and then they bolted the door. Do you know how they rolled a stone over the door, essentially? Do you know how, the same way Jesus rolled, like a stone was rolled over the tomb of Jesus, right? Okay, and then that an angel had to like unroll the stone, something like that. So they found this cave in Afghanistan, the five brothers of Goliath. We'll give them names, I don't know. So they found this tomb, and then they rolled the stone over it. They rolled the stone over the tomb. And then they stayed inside that tomb. Now, unknowing to them, that tomb in Afghanistan, that cave in Afghanistan, had like a lot of lapis lazuli. Now, lapis lazuli to normal human beings is just it's just like a jewelry, something that we like to look at, just something. It's just eye candy to us, right? But to giants, right, it has like a special effect on them. It slows down their metabolism. It drops it to almost zero and puts them. It's like DMT. You know what DMT is to humans, right? That's what like lapis lazuli is kind of like to giants, right? So when the brothers of Goliath entered that cave in Afghanistan, they didn't know the cave was rich in lapis lazuli. So immediately they entered. They just barely rolled the stone, and they went into this state of like coma, essentially. And that thing dropped their metabolism to like zero. So which means that they did not have to eat. They did not have to like excrete. They didn't have to do any of those stuff. They did not have to do any of that stuff. So they were in that cave for thousands of years, essentially. They were sleeping, right? And they were discovered by eventually people found them, right? But they thought that since that they were sleeping, they should just let them sleep in the cave, right? So fast forward to the Knights of the Templar. So the Knights of the Templar, they were fighting, essentially. They were fighting Lord Saladin. And they discovered that so they tried to attack the kingdom of Lord Saladin, right? And discovered that Lord Saladin did not really, and his men, they didn't really care that much for the kingdom. There was something else they were protecting, right? So they called for like a ceasefire, right? And then they went to meet Saladin, and they were like, they're crusaders. They've fought a lot of crusades, right? They've been on a lot of campaigns, and they are so impressed with how well the men of Lord Saladin were fighting, and they were not afraid to die. And like, what were they protecting that much? Were they fighting on behalf of their god? Were they fighting on behalf of their city? But they did not know why. And Saladin was like, oh, it's a secret. That actually what they are defending is they are trying to save the world. It's not about them alone. They are trying to save the whole world. And